Psychologists say the human heart doesn't age. It doesn't retire. It doesn't know how old you are. I didn't believe that. Until a man with sawdust on his sleeves caught me falling off a ladder and my 49-year-old heart did something it hadn't done in decades. It skipped. My name is Claire. 3 years ago, my husband of 24 years walked out the door. This is the story of what walked in. Stay with me until the end because the best part of this story is the part I fought the hardest. It was a Tuesday. Isn't it strange how catastrophes always pick ordinary days? I was making Richard's dinner salmon, roasted potatoes, the same meal I'd made 1,000 times in 24 years of marriage. His phone buzzed on the counter. The message preview lit up before I could look away. I can't stop thinking about this weekend. When are you telling her? Her. I was her. In the movies, the wife screams. She sets his suits on fire in the driveway. I just turned off the stove, very carefully, because some part of my brain decided that whatever happened next, the salmon shouldn't burn. Her name was Vanessa. She worked in his office. She was 33. 24 years of marriage. Ended in 11 minutes at a kitchen table and at the door. Richard turned and said the sentence that would haunt me. You'll be fine, Claire. You've always been the strong one. As if strength were a consolation prize. As if it was something you hand a woman on your way out. The divorce took 8 months. He kept the boat. I kept a silent house and a question. I couldn't answer after half a life of being someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's something. Who was I? I found the answer in a real estate listing. A small blue cottage on the Oregon coast 3 hours from everything. Peeling paint. Wild garden. A porch that sagged like tired shoulders. My daughter Emily thought I'd lost my mind. Mom, you're turning 50. You don't know anyone there. Exactly, I said. Here's what nobody tells you about buying a fixer-upper alone. At 49 YouTube tutorials lie. My first week, I tried to fix the porch light myself. I watched 3 videos. I bought a ladder. I climbed it in my bathrobe at 8 in the morning, screwdriver between my teeth, feeling like a woman in a commercial for independence. The ladder had other plans. I felt it tip. I heard myself yelp an embarrassing, unstrung one. Yelp, and I braced for the ground. The ground never came. 2 arms caught me, solid, certain, smelling of cedar and coffee. I looked up into grey eyes and a half smile, and a voice said, "Most people say hello first." His name was Daniel, 48, the carpenter my new neighbour had sent over, to give me an estimate on the porch who arrived. Apparently, at the exact moment Gravity and I were having a disagreement, he set me down on my feet like I weighed nothing, and I stood there in my bathrobe, hair wild, screwdriver, still in my mouth, and I need you to understand my heart was pounding, not from the fall, from the catch. The porch is worse than the light, he said, walking the boards, pressing his boot down. Whoever built this cut corners, but the bones are good. It's worth saving. I don't know why those words made my throat tighten. The bones are good. It's worth saving. When can you start? I asked. He looked at me a beat too long. Just a beat. Apparently, he said, I already have. I went inside, closed the door, and laughed into my hands like a teenager. 49 years old. Ridiculous. Wonderful. He worked on the porch for 2 weeks. I began finding reasons to be outside. Day 3, I brought him coffee. He took 1 sip and winced. You made this angry. It's espresso. It's revenge. But he drank it. All of it. And the next morning, before I could offer, he handed me a cup from his thermos, made exactly how I'd mentioned once in passing that I liked it. Splash of cream, no sugar. He'd remembered. Richard, in 24 years, never learned my coffee order. Ladies, I'm going to be honest with you about something. They don't put in the brochures for your 50s, butterflies don't die. They hibernate. And when they wake up loud. Day 6, he taught me to use the power sander. You're doing it, not me, he said. It's your porch. He stood behind me, put his hands over mine on the machine, and guided them along the railing, his chest against my back. His voice low near my ear, don't fight it. Let it glide. I could not tell you a single thing about sanding. I remember the warmth of his hands. I remember forgetting how to breathe. I remember being grateful the sander was loud enough to cover my heartbeat. Psychologists say romantic attraction lights up the same brain circuits. At 50 as at 15, I can confirm. The heart has no idea what year it is. Day 9, it rained and he sat in my kitchen waiting it out. An old song came on the radio. The kind they played at proms in another century. He stood up, held out his hand, completely serious, completely absurd. I never got to dance with you at 17. We're behind schedule. We danced in my kitchen, in socks, terribly. He hummed the wrong words on purpose to make me laugh, and when the song ended, he didn't let go right away. One breath, two, and neither did I. That night, I called my sister and said the sentence out loud for the first time. I think I'm in trouble. Good, she said. It's about time. Daniel was a widower. His wife Anne had died 5 years earlier. Cancer, 14 months from diagnosis to funeral. He told me plainly, sanding the railing, you don't get over it. You just learn to carry it so it doesn't spill on other people. And I told him about Richard, the text, the salmon. You've always been the strong one. He was quiet. Then, he didn't leave because you were strong, Claire. He left because he was weak. Those are different sentences. Reader, I nearly kissed a carpenter over a half-sanded railing. At 10 in the morning. Nearly. The porch was finished in October, and Daniel kept inventing reasons to return. A gate that stuck. A gutter. Tomatoes he couldn't possibly eat alone. I started cooking dinners that took 2 people to eat. Then came the November storm. The power went out at 9. He showed up at 9:30 with a generator in his truck bed. Soaked to the skin, grinning like a man delivering flowers. Heard the grid went down. Can't have you climbing ladders in the dark. You're a known hazard. I brought him a towel. And when I reached up to dry the rain from his hair, because it seemed practical, because it seemed innocent, he caught my wrist, gently. The way you catch something you've been waiting for. Claire, he said, and my name. In his mouth in the candlelight was its own weather system. I'm going to kiss you now, unless you say otherwise, in which case I'll go stand in the rain and cool off. I did not say otherwise. The first kiss at 52 is nothing like the first kiss at 17. It's better. At 17, you kiss with hope. At 52, you kiss with knowledge. Of loss, of loneliness, of exactly how rare this is. The candles burned. The storm carried on without us. My heart was 17 and 49 and no age at all. And then, 2 weeks later, my daughter came to visit. Emily saw the second coffee cup. The man's jacket on the hook. Her face closed like a door. Mom, already? What are you doing? Dad and you were together my whole life. And now some handyman? What will people think? Your father left 3 years ago, I said quietly. For a woman he'd been seeing for 2 years before that. Tell me, Emily, exactly how long do I owe? How many years before? I'm allowed to be happy? She left angry. And I did the thing women of my generation were trained to do. I sacrificed myself to keep the peace. I told Daniel I needed space. Too fast. Too complicated. Too soon. He didn't argue. He stood on the porch he'd rebuilt with his own hands and said, I waited 5 years to feel something again. I can wait longer, but don't confuse other people's fear with your own conscience. You're not betraying anyone by being alive. Then he drove away, and my house was silent again, but this time the silence had a shape. It was shaped exactly like a man humming the wrong words to an old song. Emily called on a Sunday in March. Mom, she said, small-voiced. I talked to Aunt Ruth. She told me how it really was with Dad. All of it. I didn't know. She was crying. I think I was angry that you survived it, that you built a whole new life while I was still grieving the old one. He seems kind, Mom. Kind. Around here, around anywhere, it matters more. I drove to Daniel's house that afternoon. No call. No speech. He opened the door with sawdust on his sleeves, exactly as he'd looked that first morning, and I said, the bones are good. It's worth saving. He smiled slow, like sunrise. Get in here, he said. You're a known hazard. And this kiss the come-back-to-me kiss outdid the storm. We were married in June, in my garden. The roses had grown over the trellis like they'd been waiting for a reason. Emily stood beside me and cried more than I did. And at the reception, on the porch he built, we danced terribly, in socks, to that same old song. He hummed the wrong words on purpose. I laughed until I cried. I'm 52 years old. I wake beside a man who knows my coffee order, who catches me when I fall off ladders and otherwise. Some mornings I think of Richard's last words, you'll be fine. You've always been the strong one. He was right in the end, just not the way he meant it. Psychologists call it the second spring, the heart's ability to bloom again after frost, sometimes more fully than the first time, because the second spring isn't innocent. It knows exactly what winter costs, and it blooms anyway, butterflies and all. If Claire's story made your heart skip even once you're my kind of viewer, tell me in the comments, when was the last time you felt butterflies? And do you believe they can come back at any age? I read every single story. Subscribe and press the bell because next week, I'll tell you about a man who wrote letters to his late wife for 10 years, until one of them received a reply, and who wrote back, "Is not who you think." Until then, keep your porch light on. You never know who's coming.